Most men don't want me to show this video because they don't want women to know that this is how so many men wash their hands after using the toilet.
So, Mark Balla, he has been um, traveling between Australia and India, and he has been building rural school toilets. And of course, they are coming from a very, very, uh, uh, let's say, low facilitation. And he's trying to teach them the behavior of the hand washing. So I will now ask Mark Balla to show us the contrast. And so somewhere in the middle, there is the rest of the country. So we can learn all together. Mark Balla, please.
Thanks very much, Jack, and happy World Toilet Day to you and everyone else here. You may also be aware that today is International Men's Day. And my plan actually is to bring these two important events together in my presentation, because I think if we're going to be talking about hand washing in schools in the developing world, we first need to understand hand washing in the West, because our idea, at least, is that we want to help them improve their hygiene behavior. But in fact, what we first need to understand is hygiene behavior in the West is actually pretty disastrous too. Uh, Jack has actually been my mentor in many ways, particularly in my early days in the toilet world. I met him at a World Toilet Summit a few years ago in Indonesia, and I've been obsessed with toilets ever since. And what a wonderful obsession we have together, Jack. My obsession has grown to include other areas of wash. So water, sanitation, and hygiene. Of course, the toilet component is sanitation, but true and truly all-encompassing toilet culture discussion needs to include the water and the hygiene component. And hygiene is something I've become very interested in the last few years, because it's basically because it's a big concern in the West, not only in the developing world, and particularly concerning with men. I want to show you a short video, which some Australian men and maybe some men in other countries will find quite embarrassing. The reality is, if you wash your hands like this, you are actually putting yourself in a worse condition, because you make your hands wet, which makes it easy to pick up bacteria. So in fact, you're better off, don't wash if this is how you're going to wash. The World Health Organization tells us the proper way to wash your hands is 20 seconds. WaterAid has said that frequently neglected in the wash sector is hygiene, because it's difficult to change people's behavior. So we focus on water, we focus on sanitation, and then we cross our fingers and hope about hygiene. The World Health Organization says that improved water and sanitation facilities do not lead to better hygiene practices. We need to be holistic in this approach. UNICEF says that conventional hygiene education does not change behavior. And the National Center for Biotechnology Information in the United States says it's important to understand the psychology of behavior change if you want to change behavior. And these are the messages they put above the toilets. And you know what? The most effective one was the last one. Is the person next to you washing with soap? So people worry about what other people are thinking. First of all, the issue with changing people's behavior is, how do we trigger the behavior? We need to adapt our own behavior so that we can take the message appropriately into the developing world. This is the book which I wrote, and Jack is one of the stars of my book, because Jack was one of my real inspirations for getting into this world of wash. Wash in schools is my great passion, but that includes all aspects of wash, from water through the toilet to the hand washing, and we need to be holistic about it.